webcam not working? There we go. Cool. Webcam. Wonderful. No viewers yet. I'm not popular enough. Oh well. I'll just drink my tea until people arrive. Ah, my first viewer. Welcome. How are you today? This might be a one-to-one conversation, perhaps. Where's everybody? I thought everyone would have been stoked for this. Oh well. Yay, more people. Wonderful. Wait for the room to fill. Some English brew. Shall we get cracking? I haven't got long today. I've got some fam stuff in a couple of hours. So we should probably get started. So what's this all about then? Well, let me tell you. So yesterday, unless you were living under a rock in Radix land, I responded to one of our good friend Vitalik's tweets. He was asking what did people think would be the kind of dominant platform where 80% of the world's value is held in 2035. It's like, what, 10 years from now? And I replied that none of them. Somebody actually very kindly pointed out that I was wrong because USD is in there, and obviously USD can scale, so fine. My bad. But I was referring to all of that. Bitcoin, Solana, Cardano, there was some other bits, like additional poll choices, like Tron and a bunch of others. And my tweet was just like, yeah, none of these have the legs. So if it does happen in 2035 that you wake up and 80% of the world's value is on a particular distributed ledger of some kind, then it probably won't be one that he's not heard of yet. Which obviously includes us, because I don't think Vitalik knows that we exist yet, which is fair enough. He's probably gets hounded every day with projects. And then that kicked off a lot of Cardano guys to come into the conversation and start talking about all these things that Cardano can do with Hydra, etc., etc. And I do think that L1s that are using L2s as a scaling solution, it's a cop out really. The L2s are being used to paint over the problems of the L1. If the L1 was, I'm going to kind of dig myself into some controversy here. If it was more capable, perhaps, then you wouldn't need an L2 as your scaling solution. Your L2 would serve a different purpose, right? So there is a place in the world for L2s and stuff, but an L2's place shouldn't be to band-aid shortcomings of an L1. And then this led into like a bunch of different kind of conversation threads talking about all these different things. But there was one that irked me particular, and this was talking about what Cardano transactions look like, because there's this whole kind of narrative about Cardano transactions that you can only do like 0.6 a second or something depending on what you're doing, and so these guys were saying that, well, depending on what's in the transaction, that's not actually true. It depends how you count transactions. Okay, fine. And then this chap Alonzo Church said that this is the point that people like me and others either miss or we lie about it. And there's no shot he will acknowledge this because it absolutely deletes his argument. Oh, I'm absolutely going to acknowledge that in about 10 minutes. And basically, the crux of it is that you can pack multiple transactions, if you like, into a single ledger action, right? So you can pack in a bunch of UTXOs for different tokens, and you can send those payments out to different people, right? So you can send one token to somebody, a different quantity of token to somebody else, blah, 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 blah. And so really your one Cardano transaction is 10, 20, 30, whatever virtual transactions, if you like, right? And this is kind of being touted around on Twitter in this thread, and then in other things that kind of spurred off from this. Is not this is like a unique thing or something that Cardano can do, and it's not something that other projects can do and stuff. And it's like whatever. We were doing this kind of stuff in Tempo and Cast, and maybe even before that. So this annoyed me enough to the point that I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that tomorrow, because this is accounted for. This kind of activity is accounted for in the Cassandra State model, which is obviously my Toy Town research network. But it just isn't enabled because I wanted to keep the test clean, right? So I specifically didn't implement this into the Cassandra State model up to this point, because it just makes my testing easier. And mixing in kind of different tokens and transactions and where it's going and stuff would mean I'd have to kind of build more exotic unit tests to like test things and stuff, and I didn't want to be at that stage yet. But then this morning I thought, you know what, I'm just going to implement that, right? So I'm going to get up, I'm going to have breakfast, I'm going to go to the office for a few hours, I'm going to implement this functionality into Cassandra, I'm going to have some lunch, I'm going to demo it, and then I'm going to go home, and at 4 p.m. I'm going to spend the rest of the evening with my family. So that's what I've done this morning. Actually tweaking the Cassandra State model to support this was maybe about an hour. But then it just gives a bunch of like JSON output, and it's not really very human readable. So I'm also working on a crappy wallet dApp where I can put tokens. So then I modified the wallet dApp to be able to handle transactions that have multiple inputs, multiple tokens, multiple outputs, etc. And that took another hour or so. That was probably most of the work. And then I have created a bunch of like token definitions that I can inject into this thing, and then we can do something like this, right? Now, obviously, I haven't got a lot of time today, so this isn't deployed, and I'm sure any of the more, let's say, passionate ADA folks that see this little demonstration are going to say, well, it's just on a couple of machines in Dan's office, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I'm out of time, okay? If that's the case, and that's your argument, then tomorrow we'll spin up a community network, because it's not all in Dan's office, and we'll do the same test again, and then you kind of have to go away and think about some other angles of FUD to discredit what I'm doing. So that's the kind of motivation here. Oh yeah, and these transactions that I'll be doing today as well will obviously be cross-shard, because why not? And there'll be atomic and all that fun stuff, which is something that obviously Cardano can do atomicity in that way right now, because the level 1 isn't sharded. But this is essentially behaving as if it was in a kind of Hydra, I guess, because people say that L2s aren't sharding, but really they are, because you're taking a set of distinct things and you're putting them in a particular place based on some criteria. So that's exactly what sharding is, right? These transactions go there, these transactions are processed by these people, these transactions are processed by them people. L2s and stuff are all the same, right? You've got a state channel open, and a particular set of transactions get processed by that state channel. Same thing, fundamentally. So what I have is I have a small Cassandra instance up and running. This is my desktop machine. I've got some other Cassandra nodes running over there, and it's completely clean, right? So there's nothing in here yet. There's no atoms in the ledger at all. 0, 0, 0, 0. I don't know if you can see that, it's a bit small. But basically there's nothing in the ledger whatsoever, right? If I bring my Flexathon tokens over, refresh that, this wallet's still a work in process, so it's completely janky and buggy. I haven't finished off a bunch of stuff. So this might explode and make me look like an idiot, but whatever. So there's nothing in here at all, right? Nothing. No flex, nothing. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to create some tokens. So I need to open a wallet. So I'm going to do this all from complete scratch. There's nothing in here at all, right? So then they can't say it was all prepped and pre-prepared and stuff and all this shit. Universe.key, because this is where I've got a bunch of flex tokens, and then I can go tokens balance flex, and it will show me I've got an obscene amount of flex tokens. Wonderful. So actually, let's send just a few flex to one of these wallets. I'm doing it from the command line here because I haven't got any means to build these complicated transactions yet from the wallet itself, because I need to build a UI for that, and I just don't have the time today. So I'm going to drive most of this from the console, and then I'll show you the results in the various wallets. So I want to send some Flexathon to that wallet that was on screen. And then I don't know if my notifications work in this, so we'll just do a crappy refresh. There we go. I got my flex, right? So if I go back to my transactions, then I've got some Flexathon tokens. So all working. Then let's make some tokens. So I've got a bunch of token definitions I'm going to lob in here. So just take me a minute. So what I'm doing now is I'm just creating all of the tokens. So I've got a bunch, and I'm going to throw in a couple of fun ones as well. So if anybody from the ADA community gets extremely pissed off with my humor, it's just small humor. It's not disrespect in any way. If you can't take a joke, then you probably shouldn't be on crypto Twitter, really. All the shit posting that goes on there. Okay, so I've created a bunch of token definitions. So I think in the example that was shown, there was something like 30 tokens sent around. I'm not going to create 30 tokens right now. There's like, what, 8-ish? That'll do. So now what I need to do is I need to go and mint a bunch of these tokens. So I now run the mint command. I mean, I need to automate this shit, but as I say, I'm very time limited today. And yeah, I'll have to streamline it another day. Like what I want to have in the wallet and stuff is so you can just do it from all this from the simple wallet dApp, and you can make your token definitions, and you can upload images and stuff and descriptions and mint them and burn them and send them around and stuff. But the wallet is a kind of second priority at the moment that I'm working on, the wallet dApp, because obviously I've also been doing a lot of Cassandra stuff as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to send. They should be done. Actually, I need a way to check that all of them are gone through. Nothing failed, so they should all be there. Cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send a bunch of these tokens to one wallet, and then we'll go to that wallet and we'll have a look. And then I'm going to send a second bunch of these tokens to the two wallets that I've got. So if we do that, then which wallet is that going to be going to? That's going to be going to this one, I reckon. I've got 1,000 flex credit, so if I refresh that, there you go. So one single transaction, which I can show you, is where are we? Unconsumed notifications it'll be in. So that's an atom, and that atom contains a bunch of particles. If you can see that very well on my screen or not, I don't know. And those particles are all of the the transfers, right? So we got 1,000 flex went in, one not ADA. That picture of Charles cracks me up every time. So funny. An OCI, a lot of Pappers, peer-reviewed ones only, remember. Scorp, a Doge 3, some radishes, an SMK, and some Serbi. And that's all just one transaction. So now I'm going to do the same transaction, but I'm going to do it to two wallets, right? So this is the same thing. This is pretty much exactly like the demonstration that they were quoting with multiple tokens going to multiple people, right? So over here, I've still only got 1,000 flex. So move that back off, and I need the command that does this because I'm definitely not typing this one out by hand. So I've got a nice little notepad over here with all of these in. So that's gone, and then if we, so he's got none. Let me bring this one over, and he's got some. So there's the two wallets, different addresses as well, as you can see. So I'm not fakering. So I've got a credit of 1,000 flex. So if you note over here, note the values, right? So we got oh, these are updated now. So we've got now 2,000 flex, 2 ADAs, not ADA, 20,000 papers, a lot to read, 2 Scorps, 2 Doge, 2 Radishes, 2 SMK, 2 Serbi, 2 OCI. And then over here we should have only 10,000 papers, 1 ADA, 1 Doge 3, 1 Scorp, 1 Radishes, etc. Now if we go back to the notifications thing, because that's a temporary store, you see there's just 2 atoms in here. So an atom is like a package of things, and this has got 35 particles in there, and this one has got 26. So this was the second one that I just did. You can see the different addresses as well. So this one's got 2 distinct addresses. Yep. And this one's got 1, 2, 3 distinct addresses. Actually, no, that's nothing to do with why I wanted the Radix projects list, because that was yesterday before all that happened. So yeah, so this thing that Cardano can do with its EUTXO that's unique isn't really unique, because I've just implemented it in space of a morning, modified a wallet. And the reason I'm able to do that is because the Cassandra state model is so flexible and extendable. Even if I hadn't considered doing this, I would probably have not run into any problems to implement it anyway. And this is just Cassandra, right? With my pre-scripto shitty state model that doesn't have anywhere near the kind of functionality or power that Scripto has, and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's my demo. I'm going to read some questions because there seems to be a lot. Spin down must be fun to be able to code. Why? Why is that? And even to make an XRD address we can trust to send tokens to as a Radix sprint. No, I'm not doing that, because that's what people did with Vitalik, with all the meme coins, and then that's just too much responsibility. And obviously Vitalik got pissed and burnt a load of them, or whatever he did with them. No scan tokens. Unfortunately, after doing all of these and getting the images that I wanted and reducing them and converting them to base 64, after 8, I just got fed up. It's like I'm not doing 30 like they did in their test. If I would meet Charles, what would you tell him? I don't think I'd tell him anything. I'd like to have a discussion and maybe dig down a bit deeper and convince him that maybe some things in Cardano aren't as good as they might think. I don't want to sound like a total asshole. It's just this little test was just one thing, I suppose. It's only one thing, right? There's many things that Cardano does. Sometimes little things just touch a nerve, and this was one of them. And maybe other people do miss it, but I don't. So is it scary to build a global scale ledger? No. Well, it's not scary to build Cassandra stuff, because there's no comeback if anything fails, so I can really go to town with this, and be loose and fast, because this is just about technological demonstrations, right? Such as this one, yeah. somebody says that XYZ can do this, and maybe Radix can't do that, or Cassandra can't do that, or whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll have a go and show you. This is one of them things that I knew could be done because I'd purposely like not done it for reasons at the beginning of the video. So I don't know. Hopefully, this just starts another conversation, and we can get some more eyes on us. The responsibility of carrying all those assets. What do you mean? Do you mean the value on the network? That's scary, I suppose. Yeah. I suppose it'll become more scary as we get closer to Xi'an and stuff. And then it's out there, and it needs some maturity time, I guess. Because there will be bugs, there will be problems. Even if your theory is perfect, humans aren't. So we did very well with Babylon. I missed the very start. Was this to send multiple assets from multiple wallets to multiple recipients? Yeah, basically. Although I'm only sending it from one wallet here at the moment. So I'm sending from one to multiple recipients, multiple tokens. I'm not actually sure how I'd send it from multiple. I mean, I could send it from multiple wallets. But obviously you'd have to have the keys for those particular wallets available. I mean, I could do it, but I don't think I need to. I think it kind of proves the point. Is there one thing that Radix can't do that other DeFi networks can do? I'll have to come back to you on that one. I can't think of one off the top of my head. VCs are waking up. Good. Are the tokens on the screen right now good projects? It's not really for me to say. I just went through a list of projects on. Obviously, not Ada and Papas aren't projects. The rest of them are like some projects on Radix that I hear about multiple times on Telegram and stuff. But I'm not gonna give you any advice on if they're good projects or not. That's for you to figure out. Any more questions? I mean, I haven't got anything else really to show today. I don't have any Twitter stuff going. I have a soak test going, but I don't have the front end for it up and running. I just really wanted to show this. Obviously, you've noticed on the screen collectibles. So, actually, yeah, this is the first time anyone's seen this wallet, even though it's still quite crap. So you've got transactions, which shows all your kind of transactional tokens. Collectibles, which will be some basic NFTs we can play around with in Cassandra, maybe do some cool things with. Obviously, Scorp is an NFT and Radishes is an NFT, and nothing comes up if you click that right now. I haven't built those sections, and then I'm pondering whether to revisit the debit card thing and just kind of show that on Cassandra, because people seem to love that debit card demonstration that I did a few years ago, and we did one for Tempo as well, so maybe I'll revisit it for this just as a cool thing to do. So yeah, collectibles and stuff, and what I want to do with this, like collectibles and things, some of you, if you played with the Twitter stuff, you'll have noticed that there's like little tips sections on the tweets that get imported and that you make in there, but it doesn't hook into anything right now. So I want to be able to obviously tip transactions, but you can tip collectibles to tweets that are made as well, and just kind of just test out the whole end-to-end spectrum of all the different things, and all kind of cross-dApp stuff as well, in multiple different ways. So some of the collectible stuff that I'll build into this is obviously something else. What did I fill my time with in the cabin? Nothing, pretty much. So the cabin was pretty cool. It's in an old quarry. There's nice landscapes around, woods and fields and trails to go and walk. So educated my little boy Zach on what's a good stick and what's a bad stick. As there was a hot tub in the cabin as well, so we spent some time in the hot tub and really did nothing. Just lots of family time, lots of chill. How large is our team now, employee wise? I think we're approaching 60 across tech, business, marketing, etc. Do I think of an L1 launching with an L2 already in place? If the L2 is being used to complement the L1, then fine, in my opinion. There are legit use cases for L2s, but the use case, in my opinion, shouldn't be a scaling solution. It should be, kind of siloing away particular transactions or particular classes of transactions that maybe don't have to interact with other things, because then you just get all this complexity about DeFi and cross-shard composability and atomicity across shards and all these things. L2s are really good if they're like kind of in their own little walled garden. That particular state channel is just used for one particular thing, and it's not really going outside of its domain too much. But leaning on an L2 to give you even a modicum of scale, and by that I mean if your L1 is only doing 20, 30, 50 transactions a second, and all of your like long-term future scaling roadmap is based on L2s, that's not the right play, in my opinion. You're just moving the problem from one place to another and maybe mutating the problem as well. What you should be doing is you've got an L1 that can do a few thousand, and then you lean on the L2 for particular use cases and particular application types and things, so that you can leverage the benefits of L2s specifically for a particular use case and stuff. It's the way that I think an L1 and L2 should work together. But my opinion isn't always very popular, as we know. How much for that Halo scope? Not selling. Sorry. I'm cherishing my Halo scope. Where are you on that API fix? I don't work on the API fix. I work on future problems at Radix Labs, not Radix Works, which is all at the network team and stuff. We need the Cassandra paper. Yes, we do. And I need to finish it off. I'm kind of prioritizing all this stuff at the moment over the paper a little bit. But I will be getting into the paper pretty soon. Again, once I've got kind of a long-lived Twitter demonstration running that can run, and just like a Cassandra network up with the community for a long period of time, so it can just run in the background and do stuff, and people can just come along and play with that as and when they stumble across something on Twitter or Reddit or wherever. Any idea if a subscription service auto debit is something that we're programming? I'm sure somebody was looking at that. Somebody from the community had maybe even built something like that on Alexandria. Not sure. I'd have to have a look. What's my favourites? This is turning into a bit of a personal Dan AMA. What's the favourite story I've ever read? Probably the one that sticks out the most for me is some children's books by an author called Enid Blyton, called The Enchanted Forest, The Faraway Tree. I think it's like a trilogy of books or a compendium of books. Really good. And then I love the Roald Dahl stuff as well. So, the BFG, the Twits. I found the Twits amazing. I can't believe they haven't made a film. The Twits. They've done pretty much every other Roald Dahl book except the Twits, and that would just be hilarious. So eMoney was blockchain DAG, and I think the transition from eMoney to Radix happened towards the end of the cast implementation, and then obviously Radix has been Tempo, Cerberus with Cassandra kind of running alongside now. Okay, I think that's probably time's up, I'm afraid, today, guys, because I gotta run home soon, and I want to kind of compress this video down into a info tweet. So I'm going to do some chopping and editing a little bit as well. I might actually just redo the test again on a 2-minute video, whatever. So anyway, yeah, hopefully you like the test. I just thought I'd share this first before I go and put it on Twitter and end up spending all night on my phone and not with the boss, which I'll probably be in trouble for. But it's just too much fun. It's just too much fun doing this shit. That's a good question. I'll close on. What is the best DeFi network at the moment, in your opinion? Probably still Ethereum, to be honest. Yeah, Ethereum is still the best DeFi network when looking at it from multiple angles, not just the tech, but just like a, hate to use this word because some of you OGs are gonna rib me for it forever. A holistic approach, a holistic view. I think Ethereum is still tops. But yeah, anyway, you guys can catch me on Twitter, causing trouble, no doubt, in about 30 minutes. So, ciao.